Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. What are we talking about this time? Well, Last of Us multiplayer has been canceled. And Naughty Dog says they will focus on single player games going forward. So Naughty Dog had stopped development of Last of Us Online. Its attempt to create an online version of the popular franchise, Last of Us. The studio says that it would have needed to put all of its resources into post-launch content for years to come, and that approach would have severely impacted its ability to develop future single-player games. Naughty Dog says, we realize many of you have been anticipating news around the project that we've been calling The Last of Us Online. There's no easy way to say this. We made the incredibly difficult decision to stop development of the game. That's what they said in the statement. The studio knew that fans of Last of Us Factions multiplayer community would be upset with the news and wanted to provide some context as to why they stopped development. They say the multiplayer team has been in pre-production with this game since we were working on The Last of Us Part 2. Crafting experience we felt was unique and had tremendous potential. As a multiplayer team, worked on the concept for The Last of Us Online. Sorry, I had brain fart there. During this time, their vision crystallized. The gameplay got more refined and satisfying, and we're enthusiastic about the direction in which we were headed. In ramping up for full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear. To release and support The Last of Us Online, we'd have to put all of our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development of future single-player games. So we had two paths in front of us: become a solely live service game studio, or continue to focus on single-player narrative games that have defined Naughty Dog's heritage. So good. I say good. The whole, for me, it's like the whole point of Last of Us Online is just to cash in, right? It's cash in on the franchise, make a live service game where you're going to basically, and Naughty Dog's right, they would have to have supported this game from the point of launch onward, right? It'd be a live service game, and so we wouldn't get Uncharted whatever, or The Last of Us Part 3, or some new franchise from them, because they would just be developing and working on The Last of Us Online for the years to come. And they probably could make a lot of money from it, but as consumers, do we really need another live service online multiplayer game? I don't think so. They've also are working on Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. So, if they had to work on this multiplayer game, they wouldn't be able to bring out a remastered version of the second game, which is only like 3 years old at this point. Somewhere around there. Which that one is set to release on January 19th of 2024 for the PlayStation 5. Like, we need a remastered version of this game again. It's just a re-release, right? They're doing the whole Skyrim thing and just re-releasing. They did it with Last of Us Part 1, and now they're going to do it with Last of Us Part 2. And hey, it sells. So, that's the problem. The problem is it sells. For those individuals that don't have it or haven't played the game, then sure, it's great. But for those of us who have played the game, I'm not interested in a remastered. I didn't buy Last of Us Part 1 remastered, and I'm not interested in Last of Us 2 remastered. I've played the games, and I think the first one was great, fantastic. Loved the first one. Loved the second half, the first half of the second one. Didn't care for the second half and beyond of the second game. So the second game is, for me personally, was worse than the first game. I enjoyed the first game immensely. I think it's a great game. The second one, it was a little rocky for me. It just didn't have the same excitement. And Abby as a character, and I know a lot of people, some people like Abby, some people don't. And I was in the group that did not like Abby. I just didn't like that character. I just didn't like anything about that character, and I didn't want to play her, and I didn't care about her. And, from the time I started playing as her to the time I finished the game as her, I had no interest in playing her. So that really bummed the last half of the game out for me. Sorry, spoiler, I guess, if you haven't played the game. But I mean, I think it's a good idea. I think it's better for Naughty Dog to focus on single player story driven games, which is what they're good at. Don't force them into making a multiplayer game based on their franchises. You know, Uncharted did have some multiplayer in it. It wasn't a big multiplayer thing, but they did have multiplayer in there. If they wanted to tack on a multiplayer mode onto Last of Us Part 3 or whatever, then they can do that, but don't make a live service thing about out of it, right? I'd rather see Naughty Dog move on to another franchise, right? Last of Us is great. If they want to make some spin-offs, not following Ellie and Joel or Abby, or maybe a different group of people in a different part of the country, right? Wherever, right? A different part of the United States or a different country altogether, right? Some other portion of the world where they follow other survivors and their whole trials and tribulations. You know, you could make a lot of games that don't have to follow the characters that we've been following, that can follow completely different characters and that have no relation to Joel and to Abby and to Ellie and everything like that, right? That I know people love those characters, but it would be nice for them to, you know, if they made a new game to follow somebody else. Or a different region, or maybe a different timeline in there, right? Maybe follow more of the beginning, right? Because The Last of Us Part 1, we got the start of the pandemic, and then you know, it goes quite a I can't remember how many years, but quite a few years later, when things have kind of like settled down and all the craziness is kind of, I mean, it's still crazy out there, but I mean, it's kind of settled down a bit. So it'd have been nice for it to, you know, maybe make a spinoff where, you know, it's kind of like The Last of Us Part 1, where everything, you know, goes belly up, but you play as that part where everything is like the people are running, people are hiding, the military's coming in and trying to take things out, and people are learning about the spores and about these monsters and everything like that. You see people changing and all this crap and some crazy stuff like that, or just make a brand new game. So I think it's, you know, it may suck for some of you out there, but I think personally it's better to have Naughty Dog create their single player story driven games that we typically see them do, because I think it's better for them to not have to focus on a multiplayer game that they're going to have to put a lot of resources and time you know, behind, and just focus on creating new, exciting, single player, story driven games, either following their storied franchises that they have now or creating all brand new ones. You know, just focus on that. You guys do a great job with single player, story driven content. Let's not dirty the water by having you make a multiplayer game. That's how a lot of some big developers end up dying off, right? Or become irrelevant, is, you know, because if Naughty Dog did this, you know, who knows when the next single player outing from them would be. It would just be, it's kind of like Rockstar in this case, right? We're finally going to get Grand Theft Auto 6. We've seen just a little bit of it. You know, it's still 2025. But like, you know, once they did the Grand Theft Auto Online and that took off like a rocket, they were already developing Red Dead. But, you know, they pretty much from that point on, they pretty much just focused on Grand Theft Auto Online, right? And I'm sure at the same time developing Grand Theft Auto. But if they weren't focusing on Grand Theft Auto Online, you may have seen potentially Grand Theft Auto 6 come out a lot sooner. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. It's yet to be seen once the game fully releases. But you know, if they didn't have to put those development time and resources and the whole team behind GTA, but you know, now I think they're probably not necessarily putting GTA Online in maintenance mode, but kind of probably pulling back on the stuff that they're doing, right? So they can focus on GTA 6 and whatever else they're doing. So that would have been the same for Naughty Dog. It would have been a long time probably, before we saw the next single player outing from them because they're so focused on their multiplayer Last of Us game. Right? Depending on how good that game did, right? If it did really bad, it might end up dying off quicker and then they just get back to normal. But I mean, that's a lot of money and time that they sunk into this multiplayer game that ended up being canceled. But, and that sucks. And that sucks for the people that were really looking forward to it. But I think overall it's better for everyone. So I don't know. That's what I think. Let us know what you think. What do you think down below? Were you looking forward to Last of Us Online? Do you think it sucks that they canceled The Last of Us Online? I like I said, I think it's better for them to go ahead and continue to focus on single player games and just kind of get rid of it. They had a rocky outing with this Last of Us Online with they suffered a round of layoffs and various things that put this, we saw this like way ago that they were making an online component, multiplayer online component like years back now. And from time to time news would surface on it and then it would just die off and we wouldn't hear about it for a long time. So I'm glad they finally came out and said, you know what, we decided, we ain't gonna do that. But again, let us know down in the comments below what you think. Other than that, thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already. Help us out. Do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you next time.